The Healthier Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Today we have a very interesting speaker, Mr. Roger Fox. Roger, make your way up here. And Roger is going to talk to us today about the human body and all those things you think you know about or you want to know about. Roger is going to inform us. So Roger, take it away.
Thank you. These are my notes, but hopefully I won't need them. Let's see if this works. Okay. You are a walking miracle. In preparing this, I realized that you are indeed a walking miracle. And when we get through it this whole time, and you see all the slides and all the things that I've gone through here, hopefully you'll believe that also that you are a walking miracle. Let's see if this really works. Okay, some disclaimers. Everybody has to give disclaimers so that at the end, when you get shot, you'll know why. I'm a Christian, so I believe that God made man in his image, male and female, that indeed he formed man out of the dust of the earth, and that he blew in the spirit of life into him. And in the first couple, Adam and Eve, were all the genetic coding and all the requirements to make all the billions of people who have lived, including the 8+ billion people that are here right now. I'm supposed to be looking down here. Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, I'm not a doctor. So this is not coming from a medical perspective, a complicated medical perspective. I'm nothing more than a researcher. So I'm researching this, and I've done a lot of research. So Google and I have become very intimate over the last month. I found myself walking around like a crazy man, asking myself questions and going up Google. How does this work? What does this do? How does that connect with this? Whatever. So I am not a doctor, so don't ask doctor questions at the end. This is strictly a Google compilation, and I'm going to make a couple of comments about Google when I get to the opening remarks. But I've gotten all my information from Google, so any information you see out here, you can find in Google. If you want to fact check me, that's where you're going to go anyway. Okay, and this is a very simple overview. Believe me, it's much more complicated than it appears. Okay, David writes in Psalm 139, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This sentiment is expressed in so many extra biblical resources. And the goal today, my goal today, is to get you to believe that statement is true. I've always believed that we have been wonderfully made. I mean, extremely complex. But as I studied this more, I became aware of what it means to be fearfully made. I began to be afraid of the fact that I am so complicated. How could I possibly even still be alive? And I am so complicated that even if I came about by accident, this is a miraculous accident. So I really hope that you'll believe the statement that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, that sounds like a good goal, but as I was thinking about it, what has that got to do with you? What are you going to walk away with? Well, I'll tell you what I want you to walk away with. I want you to get in front of the mirror tomorrow morning and realize that you are absolutely unique. You are a special person. I want you to stand there in front of the mirror and say to yourself, wow, there I am. I'm absolutely special. I've got a brain that's the most complicated 3 pounds of stuff in the whole world. I'm a miraculously made being, and I want you to stand taller, and I want you to walk out of your apartment or your house or whatever and feel good about yourself, because you indeed are special, unique, and fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay, let's see if I can do this with my left hand. Okay, opening remarks. Like I say, Google and I have become close comrades for the last month. I've walked down a lot of rabbit trails that become very complicated, and I can't go there because I don't have time to talk about it. It's going to be at a level that would be very complicated for you to understand. There's a lot of terms that you wouldn't understand. Wherever I have been forced to use terms that I think are complicated, I'll put in parentheses a simple definition of the term so that you might know it. I haven't had a chance to cover everything. We won't talk about the RNA, DNA concept, the gas transfer that takes place, the mind things that go on. There's I've embedded 5 questions to make this talk I want to involve you in the talk. So I've embedded 5 different questions for you to research on your own in the Google, so you can do what I've been doing for the last month. Google makes mistakes. Can you believe that? Can you believe that Google makes mistakes? And let me tell you about the one mistake that really caught me off guard. At one point, it said that we shed about 8 kilograms of skin a year. At another place, it said that you shed about 105 kilograms for your whole life. Well, at 70 years, and I'm 80 times 8 would be 640 kilograms. So that's not slightly close. That's wrong. So I asked Google, I said, look, I've got a conflict here. I've got a conflict between what you say I'm shedding a year and what you say I'm going to shed in a lifetime. And they came back, and you know what they said? We were wrong. No, they didn't really say that. They're not going to admit that. Nobody admits they're wrong. But what they did say, it was an exaggeration. The 8 kilos a year was an exaggeration. What we really meant to say, it's only 1 or 2 kilos a year. That's added up to the 105. So the 105 was the good number. But what they said, instead of saying they were wrong, they just said we exaggerated. Now, wait a minute. If I make $3,800 a month, and I say to somebody, you ask me how much I make a month, I say $4,000. Well, that's an exaggeration because it's just a little bit more. But when you exaggerate 600%, that's not exaggeration. That's a mistake. Okay, so I'm not saying that to make you doubt all the information you're going to see today, but and I'm confident that most of the information is correct. Whenever I found numbers that conflicted a little bit, I usually compromised by averaging those numbers, and that's the numbers that you've got in front of you. But Google can make mistakes, okay? And so you need to be careful. Okay, I'm going to throw some large numbers at you today. And quite frankly, many of them are going to be incomprehensible. You know, if I say the word trillion to you, what does that mean? It's just a word. Can you think of a trillion of anything? Probably not. How about a trillion pennies sitting in this room? Can you imagine the pile that it would be? I don't think we can go there. The United States is in a $37 trillion debt. That doesn't mean anything to me. I deal monthly in thousands of baht. And so trillions don't mean anything. So I'm going to throw numbers at you that are going to be almost incomprehensible. So what I've tried to do is to convert those numbers into things that you might understand, concepts that you might understand to make the numbers more reasonable. Okay, but I've got a lot to say in a short period of time. I'm going to try to do it in about 40 or 45 minutes. So I'm going to talk fast, so I want you to listen fast. Can you do that? Listen fast? Haha. Okay, our bodies are really a dichotomy. They're rugged on one hand and they're fragile on the other. If anybody of you have watched an American football game or UFC wrestling or rugby, some of the hits those guys take, you wonder how they even get back up. I mean, it's brutal. It's a brutal game. So those bodies are really rugged. They get knocked down with what looks like a death blow, and they get back up and walk away. You can break bones and they'll heal. You can get sick and you get well. You can get replacement parts. Your body will actually, if it senses that you're getting a clogged artery, it will actually on its own make an attempt to bypass the actual blockage on its own. No operations, no doctors, no medications. Your body on its own will sense that there's a blockage here and try to bypass it. You can lose whole limbs and you can still function. And yet your body is complex, yet it is still running. That's part of the ruggedness. As complex and as delicate a balance as we are, it's still running. That tells me it must be rugged. On the other side, we're pretty fragile. If your brain goes for 5 minutes without oxygen, it will begin to die. At 10 minutes, you will be dead. 10 minutes without oxygen, you will be dead. There are poisons that very little of which will kill you almost instantly. There are deadly insects out there. As a matter of fact, 70% of the deaths caused by incidents are caused by mosquitoes, probably indirectly, but nonetheless by them. There are simple gases that will kill you. Carbon monoxide. You sit in a car with carbon monoxide or a house that generates carbon monoxide, you will die. You won't smell it. You won't see it. You will die. You can break or lose a finger, and that could cause an infection that will cause pneumonia, and you will die. Clots can kill you, as Ren said a couple of weeks ago. Remember, he's talking about that fit woman who didn't get blood thinners. She got a clot in her leg, went to her head, and she died within a day. So the other thing, the reason why I put that on the fragile side, we are complex. There's so many things that have to go right. It's amazing that it does. So we're fragile and we are robust. What must be true for you to sit here? You need to breathe. You got to have oxygen. You need to have a heartbeat so that the heart can move that blood and all the nutrients around the system so you can exist. And you need to have a body regulator. Your brain regulates. It's called homeostasis. That just means what are the normal temperatures, the normal pressures, the normal fluid levels. Your body needs to maintain that. And that's what it does. What things do you need to sit here alive? You have to have air. You got to have oxygen. Deprived of oxygen, you go into a room that's completely a vacuum, you will die. Okay, you got to have water. 60% of your body is water, and almost all the chemical reactions are done using water. 50% of your blood is water. And as I gave a talk a while ago, I said 75% of the people in the world are dehydrated. So water is a vital element for you to stay healthy. You got to have nutrients in food. Those are the things that you need. Now, this is interesting. What's going to happen? What's going to happen in your body while you are sitting here listening to me drone on about all this junk? These are the things that are going to happen. Your heart will beat 6,300 times while you are sitting here in this room. That means you're going to, at a rate of about 101,000 beats a day, that means you're going to move 120 to 150 gallons of blood in that 90 minutes that you're sitting here. That's at a rate of 2,000 gallons a day. You've got 5 liters of blood in your body. All 5 liters are cycled every minute. Think about that. You've got 5 liters in your body. Your heart will cycle all 5 liters in 1 minute. So think of it this way. Tag a red blood cell coming out of the heart. Okay, 1 minute later, that same heart cell will be at the same place a minute later, having gone all the way through the system. Extraordinary. Your lungs will inhale about 1,100 to 1,800 times in the 90 minutes you're sitting here. You will circulate about 600 liters of air. That's about 11 to 20,000 liters a day. You will produce, while you're sitting here, you're going to be working hard. You don't know it, but you're working hard. You're going to produce about 13 billion red blood cells while you are sitting here in the 90 minutes. Do you feel yourself working? Are you getting tired? Are you getting tired creating all those red blood cells? Believe it or not, that's happening. And that's at a rate of about 2 to 3 million per second, or 216 billion per day. You produce about half as many white blood cells in the same time frame, and the same number of blood cells will be discarded by the liver, or by the kidneys. The kidneys are a very busy organ. Skin cells, you lose about 2 million skin cells will be shedded while you're here. So you be sure to clean them up after yourself, because you are making a mess while you're sitting here. There's so many other things going on. You're digesting food. You are replacing all your organs. You're replacing all your systems. Your body is fighting infections. There are things you're doing here, and you're just sitting here relaxed and having a good time. And your body is working diligently. Okay, have you ever owned a house? Anybody ever owned a house? Okay. This is going to be an interesting. You see the house? My house is the one this is the tough part, to be split in the room here. But this is our house right here. And I want you to see these things right here? Those are called hedges. And hedges have to be trimmed. And that's a lot of work. There's more hedges on this house than there is in Markland, where I live over here. My line of my property goes over here, down across here, and all the way up to my neighbor's place. I've got about 3/4 of an acre of grass. I've got to cut it regularly. The pool, you see, had to have a liner. It needs chlorine almost every day. It has to be shocked quite regularly. I've got a septic tank in the backyard that I had to replace twice while I was there. The house had to be completely repainted. It had to be cleaned. It has to be cleaned on a regular basis. I had a honey-do list every Saturday of things to do to keep the house going. We replaced all the carpeting. And let me show you the next slide. And this is what the house looks just a short time later. We actually hired a guy. A guy came around and said, I'll paint your house for $800. Which was, I thought, okay. It was really kind of an ugly maroon color. And he said, well, I'll paint it. And he gave me a chart, and I picked out the colors. We went to church in the morning, and our house was this ugly maroon color. And we came back in the afternoon, and it looked like this. It was an extraordinary change. Okay, but the reason I put this picture here is you notice that I've converted the garage. And my sons and I built another garage. My sons and I replaced all the tiles on the roof, and we replaced the deck. Okay, why am I telling you all this? Because after 15 years of house ownership, I realized I don't own the house owns me. Okay? Okay, but unlike your body, your body is repairing itself as you sit here and continually as you're going on. And you're not even aware of it. Your skin, you get a cut, it'll repair itself. Your liver, if you drink like a fish and you kill part of your liver, it'll restore itself within 2 to 10 days. 2 to 10 weeks, I'm sorry. 75% of your liver can be removed. It can be destroyed, and it will replace itself. Extraordinary. The digestive tract, which is a really nasty environment of acid and bacteria, that replaces itself every 4 to 5 days. Your whole stomach lining replaces itself in 4 to 5 days. If you break a bone, it'll repair itself in 6 to 12 weeks. All your muscles and tendons are constantly repairing. If you work out at the gym, you're tearing muscles, and those muscles get repaired. Blood vessels and blood, there you can clot and repair. The blood itself is replaced every 120 days. The immune system is constantly updating itself, constantly. The miracle of longevity. One of the things, I'm 80, okay, and I know that Richard's going to celebrate his 95th birthday. Congratulations, Richard, this year. Amen. And I would say that most of us in here, except for the young ladies, of course, most of us in here are somewhere between 60 and 85, probably. So our organs, unless you've had heart surgery or unless you've had some specific surgeries, all 78 organs in your body have worked consistently, regularly, and appropriately for whatever number of years you are as you're sitting here. If you're 70 years old, now you can put your own number in there, your heart is beat 3 billion times. No repair, no replacement, no adjustments. It's beat 3 billion times. It's gone through, it's pushed out 51 million gallons of gas. Now, again, these are the numbers that you go, doesn't mean anything to me. Let me put it in perspective. You see that number 86,000 there? If that blood were gasoline and you had that available to you to use in your car, in other words, you have a tank in the back with 51 million gallons of gasoline that you can use, you can drive your car from age 16 to 60. You can drive it for 60 years, 15,000 miles a year for 86,000 lifetimes. 86,000 lifetimes. That's how much blood your little heart here, your little unreplaceable vital heart here has pumped in your lifetime. If you're 70, 60, 80, whatever. Your lungs in 70 years have breathed 490 million times. That's a lot of times. I'm tired of breathing already. And that's equivalent to about 332,000 liters. And I've put that in the terms of 125,000 regular tires can be pumped up with the air that you breathed in your 70 years. Most of the other 76 remaining organs are doing their job and being replaced, and you don't even know it. Most of them, unless you've had a special operation here, you are sitting here with all 78 of your original organs that are keeping you going, and they are replenishing themselves and they are doing their job, and you don't even know it. Okay, you not need to do any maintenance or replacement. Remember your house? I want you to think about your house when you think about you. How much you had to do to maintain and keep your house going, and what do you have to do to keep your heart, yourself going? Eat well, drink a lot of water, get exercise. That's it. The rest of your body takes care of itself. The miracle of regeneration, almost every part of your body is going to be replaced. Some things are faster than the others. I got a list there. The left-hand list, the stomach lining, 4 to 5 days, the taste buds every 10 days, the skin 2 to 4 weeks, gums 2 weeks. All your red blood cells, 29 trillion of your red blood cells are going to be replaced in 120 days, 4 months. Okay, some things take moderately longer. Your liver takes 150 days to about 6 months to replace itself. But at the end of 6 months, your liver has completely replaced itself. You didn't have to put it in a hangar and cease operations for a while it was being repaired. It takes, in that time, 150 days to 6 months, it replaces itself. Your pancreas, 50 days to a year. Your lungs, about a year. Your heart muscle cells, about 5 to 30%, although I read a couple of places that the scientists are still debating that. It may be that your heart muscles are not replaced as often as they think they are. Okay, some things take longer. Your bones, for example, take 10 years to replace. You got 206 bones. They will all be replaced in 10 years. That means if you're sitting here and you're 60, 70, 80 years old, they've been replaced. All of your bones. Now, I don't know about you, but I think of my bones as being pretty permanent. They're hard. They're permanent. They're going to last a long. Your bones have completely replaced themselves while they were in the process of producing millions of red blood cells. They are replacing themselves every 10 years. Your bones, if you're 70 years old, your bones have been replaced completely, all 206 of them, completely, about 6 or 7 times. Amazing. Your fat cells, I think these are one of the places where you could tell your body, don't replace those. It would be nice if those were not replaced, because then you could go on a natural diet and your body would burn itself up. But unfortunately, your fat cells actually replicate themselves in 8 years. Your skeletal muscles in about, what did I got down there, 15 years. Okay, this is the first of your homework assignments. There's 5 questions in here. This is your homework assignment. What parts of the body are not replaced? I'll give you a hint. There's at least 3. If you can find more, that'll be good. But there's at least 3. That's your homework. Get busy. Okay, the miracle of replication. I would assume that most of you here are retired, right? I'm retired. I'm retired military. The day I retired, we had a nice little party. Everybody got together. We had a cake and all that junk. And 2 days later, they forgot about me. Completely forgot about me. 26 years, and the military didn't fall apart when I left. The Chinook system didn't fall apart when I left. For 5 years, I was the main man in a helicopter system called a sky crane. I wrote the regulations. I gave the test. I instructed the instructors. Then the Army gave the helicopter away. They sent them all to the civilian market, and guess what? My important job was gone overnight. So what imprint are we leaving on the world? If you're not a Mozart and not a Shakespeare and not a Columbus and not a George Washington, what imprint are you going to leave on the world? Children. That's what you get to leave. You get to replicate yourself. You find yourself a nice girl, and you get together and you replicate yourself through a partner. That little baby on the left, that's my firstborn son named Joshua. He's on a brag tour. He was born in Germany, and we brought him back to the States to brag about him to his grandparents. So I think he's about 5 months in that picture. The boy in the middle is my oldest grandson. The boy in the left, the small baby, is the father of the boy in the middle. That's miraculous when I think of it. And of course, I am the father of the boy on the left, who is the father of the boy in the middle. The reason the boy in the middle is there, remember I told you could replicate yourself. That was one of the neat things about leaving. I was an only child, so I said, this is not right. So I was committed to having children and having as many as I could. That child in the middle there is named Stephen, and he's my oldest grandson. There's a picture of him at 7 years old, and there's a picture of me at 7 years old. And if you put them side by side, you would think we were twins. You can replicate yourself through reproduction. Replicate. The 4 children that are surrounding Vicky and I are our 4 children, and 2 of them are foxes. 2 of them are going to keep the fox lane going. And of course, they obviously got married and had kids. And on the stairs there, from the youngest at the bottom stair to the oldest at the top, are my 12 grandchildren, including 4 fox children. So I've gone from 1 to 2 to 4. And in my lifetime, my oldest, the one that's sitting at the top of the stairs, Juliana, just got married, and I'm encouraging them to have babies quickly because their grandfather is getting old, and I want to see my great-grandchildren. But those are the 12, so the multiplication theory, that's how you replicate yourself. That's the miracle of reproducing yourself on the earth. It's extraordinary. Okay, the miracle of immunity. You've got 3 levels of immunity. This is a very dangerous world we live in for you. COVID, any indication of that? It certainly was a dangerous world for a lot of people who died at that time. That was a dangerous virus that got loose. But there are lots of bacteria out there that are aiming to kill us on a regular basis. So we have built into us an immune system. We have the outer layer of defense. The first line of defense is your skin, mucous membranes, including your tonsils if you still have them, body fluids, tears, saliva, and stomach acids, and good bacteria on your skin and in your stomach are the first line of physical defense against pathogens, against bacteria and viruses. The second line of defense is an innate immune system. Inflammation. As soon as a pathogen is identified, the area where it is gets sore and red. Why? Because it doesn't want you to hit that thing against anything because there's a war going on in that place. It also is there to attract the white blood cells, which are hopefully going to conquer the bacteria, because if they don't, you will be overwhelmed and die. Fever, you want a fever. Interestingly enough, as soon as we get a fever, we want to take aspirin to get the fever down. You don't want the fever down. As long as the fever is not over 103, fever is good. White blood cells actively are better in fevered conditions, and bacteria are deterred in fevered conditions. When I start feeling like I'm getting a fever, I go get a big quilt. I lay on the bed and I cover myself with the quilt and I sweat myself until the fever breaks. And even though I may get up tired, I know I'm well. Okay, so fever is not a bad thing here. So be careful that you don't conquer the fever right away. That is an innate part of your immune system that's designed to help you fight the bacteria. The third line of defense is the T and B cells, and this is a cool story right here. I want you to picture the T and B cells like police officers. The T cells are the roving patrols. They go wandering around the body looking for the bad guys. And when they find them, they notify all the B cells. Now, the B cells are the police that are sitting at the donut shop. They are either back in the liver or the spleen or part of the lymph nodes. They're just cruising. They're not doing anything until they get a signal from the T cell helper. He sends a signal back and says, hey, we got a bad guy here. We need some help. And that T cell helper goes back and tells the B cells. Now, he also, before he leaves the virus area, he takes a picture. Now, this is a chemical picture. He takes a chemical picture of the virus to bring it back to the liver so the liver can identify it. If it is seen this one before, there are memory cells that'll help the liver produce B cells to conquer this pathogen in a hurry. If not, then it has to regenerate its own protein weapons, which is what it does. The UFC illustration, one of the things that the T cell does while it's waiting for the B cells to turn. Now remember, this is quick cycle here. How long does it take your blood to cycle? 1 minute, right? So we're not talking about a long time here. We're talking about a blood going to a B cell or a T cell helper getting back to the liver within a minute and generating stuff that gets back to the site of inflammation really quickly. But in the meantime, what the T cell does, it jumps on the back. It jumps on the back of the pathogen. Now, anybody here watch UFC fighting? I mean, it's really kind of amazing. One of the things that you don't want your opponent to do is to get on your back, because from the back, he can do a rear naked choke on you. You can't reach him because your arms don't go that way. So you can't get back at him, and he can beat the heck out of you while he's on your back. That's what the T cells do to the pathogens. They jump on their back and they hold them in position so they won't attach themselves to healthy cells and infect any further. So while they're waiting for the B cells, that's what they do. They get on the back and they prevent the pathogen from attaching itself to any of their healthy cells. So that's a cool process. I wanted you to see that. The T cells are the roving patrol. The B cells are the guys having the donuts back at the place. They make antibodies. The antibodies are made in your liver primarily, and there are memory cells there. If the pathogen has been seen before, then it knows what kind of weapons to use. Now, when the B cells get back to the infection area, they are equipped with protein weapons that they actually shove into this viral membrane and destroy the thing. And of course, it gets excreted out in the process. This is a picture of the immune system. This is a flow chart. You will be happy to know that we are not going to go through the immune chart. I put this here because I want you to see how complex the system is. This is just one system. I could have talked a whole hour on this one immune system alone. That's a picture of the immune system. We will not be covering that, fortunately. Okay, this is a diagram of a simple cell. You can see it's not quite simple. There's a lot of parts. We're not going to go into the parts either. But when I was in school, this was the picture of the simple cell. It was just a blob because we didn't know anything. We didn't know about DNA. Well, we did, but we didn't know the details that we know nowadays. So we thought the simple cell was simple. So on the screen, they had these an orange blob that just sort of separated itself and made two blobs. And then those two blobs made four blobs, as if that were easy to do. It's not easy to do. It's a complex process. We know that now. So the simple cell is not simple, but it's a miracle. I want to start with the column on the right-hand side of the slide. We have about 36 trillion. That's illion with a T. We have 36 trillion cells in our body. Women, about 28 trillion. And in parentheses there is a thing, 38 trillion. That's how many bacteria are in our body as we're sitting here. But not to worry. Only 1% of them are dangerous to us. So that means there's only 380 million bacteria in your body right now that are dangerous to you. So not to worry. There's a nucleus, and the components are the nucleus, the cell membrane, and the cytoplasm. Self is a simple cell is a self-sustaining unit. It's very small. It metabolizes its own nutrients. It produces its own energy, and it replaces itself. Now, it synthesizes many types of molecules. The amazing thing about the 7 trillion, there's 7 trillion cells within the nucleus in the body. The amazing thing about the DNA coding in the 7 trillion cells with nucleus is they can regenerate not only themselves, but they can regenerate any cell in the body. So if there's a demand for retinal cells, your muscle cells can produce cells that will go to the retina and fix it. If they need bone cells, they can get muscle cells to do that as well. So every cell, all the mere 7 trillion cells with nucleus has the capability to generate any other cell in the body. It's pretty extraordinary. Not quite simple though, is it? A couple of comments on DNA. In every cell that with a nucleus, the 7 trillion cells, there are 46 chromosomal pairs, 92 DNA strands. Each of the strands is a trillionth of an inch thick. Now, this is one of those numbers that what does that mean to you? I mean, we're lucky if we can imagine a millionth of an inch, never mind a trillionth of an inch. And what comes to mind here is, how do they know that? How could you possibly measure a trillionth of an inch? But all those 92 strands of DNA are trillionth of an inch thick. And when put end to end, there are 2 meters of DNA in every cell of the body. Now, DNA storage capacity, 250 million gigabytes of storage per DNA strand. 215 million gigabytes of storage in every DNA strand. Now you multiply that times 92 strands, that's a big number. And if I wrote the number out, it would mean absolutely nothing to you, but it is a huge number, and we're talking about just the coding, just the information on the DNA strands in every cell, of which there are 7 trillion cells with a nucleus. Okay, I've given you a book illustration so you gain a little bit of appreciation for the astronomical sense of these numbers. Each cell, considering there's 92 strands, each cell has about 66 billion books of coded information. Each cell, and you have 7 trillion nuclear cells. The number is mind-boggling. To give you some sense of how big that is, the Library of Congress, which many consider the largest library in the world, has 41 million books and 171 million items in their building. 41 million books, and you've got 66 billion books worth of information in every cell of your body. That should make you feel like you're wonderfully made. I shouldn't have to go any farther. Okay, the miracle of digestion will sort of move on a little quicker here. The mouth, needless to say, you're chewing, adding saliva, esophagus pushes it down. The stomach, it churns and mixes with gastrics. It goes to the small intestine, of which you have about 22 feet. And that is where primary digestion first takes place. Okay, that's where you first have enzymes. Now, I want to make one little comment here. If you've eaten set meals in Thailand, you probably have the fruit at the end of the meal. Is that right? You have the fruit at the end of the meal. You should have fruit at the beginning of the meal, because fruit is probably the only thing in your meal with enzymes built in. So if you have the fruit first, it goes to the stomach first, and now you've got enzymes in the stomach that wouldn't be there if the fruit weren't there, and you can process the food quicker, and you would have less stomach aches. But that's just me talking. Okay, the large intestine, of course, removes water and stores waste. The whole operation, from the time you stick something in your mouth till the time you put it in the toilet, takes 30 to 40 hours. It's regulated by nerve and hormones. The components are mechanical and chemical. The enzymes are magic. Have anybody know what a jig is? Okay, a jig is a mechanical device that holds another piece in place while you work on it. Okay, anybody's ever had a vise at home? A vise is a jig. You put the item, the piece of wood or the piece of whatever in it, and you clamp it down so that you can work on it. Enzymes are jigs. That's what they are. And they are loaded in the intestine. And when food gets down there, they go out on their, what did I call it? Their snatch and grab. And each enzyme grabs a different kind of food. You can't process carbohydrates without a carbohydrate enzyme, or proteins or fat. Each one is different. There are trillions of enzymes in your body. and you're born with a lot and you make a lot. But all those enzymes are doing, they are jigs, and they run out into the flow of food going through your stomach, and they grab a certain food. And they can do it because they have the jig shape necessary to match up with the shape of whatever the item is they're attaching to. Okay, this is all regulated by nerves and hormones, and the components are mechanical and chemical, and I talked about the enzyme magic. Miraculous senses. I tell you, this is so much information to try to get into 1 hour period. Okay, the eyes are probably the most complex 1 ounce mini cameras you're going to find in the world. Now, there's a whole bunch of numbers that are listed there. As far as identifying, fingerprints used to be the main thing, right? There are 40 points on a finger that will identify it being yours versus somebody else's. On the iris of your eyes, there are 256 identifiable parts. So you can see why they're beginning to use eyes to identify people rather than fingerprints or anything else. The 1/100th is your eyelid is the fastest muscle in your body. It takes 100th of a second to blink. You're going to blink 10 million times in your life. If your eye were a camera, it would be a 576 megapixel camera. The biggest one I've seen online is about 150 megapixel. Now, there may be professional ones that are higher than that, but the biggest one that I can buy online is 150. But your eyeball is about a 576 megapixel camera if it were a camera. You can see 10 million different colors. You can see 500 different shades of gray. It's got a dual blood supply, because the retina is one of the most important parts of the body. In 48 hours, if you scratch your cornea, it will replace itself. It will heal itself. It will fix itself in 48 hours. And this is another amazing stat. On a completely dark night, using your night vision, your rods on the outside of the part of your retinal, you can see a candle lit at 14 miles. You can see a candle lit at 14 miles. That's pretty extraordinary. Have I convinced you you're wonderful yet? I should be getting there. Okay, the retina, probably one of the most complicated areas. It's a 0.5 millimeter thick. Now, think about a meter. You cut it into 1,000, and this is half of that. This is a very small layer of stuff, and yet there are 10 layers in this 0.5 millimeter. 10 layers. There are 130 million photosensitive cells on the side that faces out. It's the highest metabolic demand place in the whole body. The retina is. There's nothing that demands more energy than the retina. As far as brain functionality usage, 50% of what the brain can do is focused on identifying and processing visuals from your eyes. 50% of the functionality is to operate, to interpret what's coming out of your eyes. Your ears never sleep. You can hear from 20 to 20,000 to give you an idea what that means. A string bass, lowest note is 40 cycles per second, 40 hertz. And the highest, the piccolo, is 5,000 hertz. And normal speaking range, what I'm speaking to you right now, is about 100. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the range that you can hear. It is the fastest of your senses. It's unique to you. In other words, your ear is like a fingerprint. There are no two ears that are exactly alike. It can be subject to damaging sound. 110 to 120 decibels will damage a concert or loud concert. Have you ever been to any of them? Especially if you're standing in front of the speakers, it's absolutely it's actually hurtful. You actually feel like, I need to get out of here. I'm damaging myself just being in the presence here. I flew a helicopter that had 5 transmissions and 2 engines, and sitting and running and being inside without any sound protection was about 110 to 115 decibels. If you're exposed to that kind of sound for 7 minutes, you will begin to lose your hearing. Okay, your right ear is more sensitive to speech, and your left ear more sensitive to music and emotions. Your tongue has about 8,000 taste buds, 10,000. If you have 10,000, you're a super taster. You know, there are tasters that work for Frito and all those places. There are people with more taste buds than normal. and they become super tasters. All of your tongue, again, will be replaced in 10 to 14 days. Your taste buds are not only in your tongue, but they're on the upper part of your mouth, on your throat, and your esophagus as well. You can taste 5 different flavors: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Spicy is not a flavor. It's a level of pain. Spicy is not a flavor. It's a level of pain. One of the things I really don't like, I don't like to have a spicy first course, because what it does is it kills the rest of the taste buds, so you can't taste anything for the rest of the meal. So be aware that if you're not tasting spicy, you're being subject to torture. Okay, your tongue is also as unique as a fingerprint. 80% of your ability to taste comes from your ability to smell. It's a safety net because it's very sensitive to bitterness, to toxics, and to poisons. Okay, concerning your nose, it's more likely of any of the senses to trigger emotions. Studies have been done, and 65% of what you have smelled will be remembered a year later, whereas only 50% of what you may have seen will be remembered only 3 months later. I just have a taboo story there. I dated a girl when I was 19 years old named Fran, and she wore Taboo, which is a cheap cologne. And of course, it became synonymous with us, our relationship, and I fell madly in love with her, and she jilted me, but you know, that's the way it goes. I was in about 20 years ago, 40 years after Fran and I broke up, 40 years, I was in a line at Walmart, and this lady pulled up behind me, and she had on Taboo. And I turned to her and I said, "Oh, Taboo, they're still making it." And she was surprised that I recognized it, but I remembered the smell. Why? Because it was associated with a real positive time in my life. 40 years I hadn't smelled that smell, and I recognized it as soon as she walked in close enough to me to be able to perceive it. So it triggers emotion. You can't turn it off. It's like a warning sign. You can actually smell smoke, and you'll be sensitive to heat. New car illustration. Most people say that the new car smells well. Well, it may not smell well, because what they do is they spray into the car a fresh deodorant smell that makes your new car smell fresh. However, if you buy a used car and it smells like a new car, then you can be suspicious that they have sprayed it with the new car smell, because it's probably not there. Okay, as far as the touch, I don't have much here, just your finger and your fingertips and the edge of your tongue are the most sensitive areas. Your back is your least sensitive area. And this is a good one for you. You need to start doing this. Hugs are known to reduce blood pressure and to reduce heart rate and to decrease anxiety. So get hugging, man. Get hugging. Get your blood pressure down. Get off those pills and start hugging people. No, please don't quote me that I said get off your blood pressure medicine, all right? Okay, direct touch equals less stress. So touch is good. Touch is a good thing. Okay, one of your questions, what is umami? What is umami? He's looking at me like, oh, I came here for you to tell me. No, you got to get Google out. I know the answers to all 5 of these questions, by the way, that are in here. Okay, iridology. On the left, obviously, is a picture of an iris, an actual iris. On the right is a chart that's broken up into pie-shaped pieces that theoretically, if laid over the eye, would generate a knowledge of whether the particular thing at the particular time of that segment. So all the little squiggles that you see in the iris here, according to the medical practice, I call it the medical practice of iridology, all of those little squiggles mean anything. Now, AMA, it's witchcraft. Most people, witchcraft. However, I had a disease when I had a sickness that I couldn't take pills for because it was going to ruin my liver. I was told, go to a nurse clinician. I went to her, and I brought my medical record, which was quite thick because I had been in the military for 20 years already. She took my medical record and put it on the desk, and she set me up on one of those tables. She came over, and she looked in my eye. Okay, that's all she did. She looked at the medical record. She didn't ask me any questions. She looked in my eye. And she said, the first thing she said, and I remember this conversation because it was so stunning. She said, "Oh, yeah, your general health is really good." I thought, "Okay, well, that's nice." She said, "I can see your sickness. I can see it right here. It's in your left leg." I said, "Yeah, that's where it is." Then she hit me right between the eyes. She said, "It looks like when you were a kid, you broke a bone." I think, yeah, you were less than 13 years old. And it looks like it was probably your left arm. She's looking in my eye. She's looking in my eye. She's got nowhere near medical records. And the fact that my bone was broken wasn't even in the medical records. So look at iridology. Take a look yourself. This is probably one of those magical sciences. Now, if we've got 66 billion books of information in every cell, I don't doubt at all that all these little squiggles in your iris could be connected to different parts of your body and reveal the quality of health in each one of those parts. I'm not supporting iridology, but I was struck by the fact that she identified a broken bone by looking. How could she do that? That's not even luck. That's impossible. Okay, a miracle. So many parts working together. You have vital organs, the brain, heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. All are vital organs. They have to work for you to be alive and to be healthy. I just want to make one comment about the kidneys. I thought it was interesting. The kidneys actually do the filtering of blood. Remember, you're getting 2 to 3 million new blood cells every second, and you're losing 2 to 3 million blood cells every second. So how do the blood cells that are on their way out get evaluated? It's done right here in the kidney, and it was so cool. The kidney has a filter with a certain shape. When the blood cell comes to go through the filter, if it's too old to maneuver, to bend itself, like us, are we a little old to bend and move the way we used to be? Yeah. If the cell cannot bend itself into the shape of the filter, it gets discarded. That's amazing. I thought the filter actually forces the blood cell to do a PT test, and if it fails it, it's out. And it is stripped of whatever it has, hemoglobin, oxygen, whatever things the body might need is stripped, and it's sent down to the urea. It's extraordinary. Isn't it amazing? Okay, other major organs, the skin obviously protects and regulates the temperature of the body. The stomach processes food. The pancreas produces enzymes and insulin. The gallbladder, bile, and helps digestion. The spleen filters, stores blood, aids in the immune system. The bladder obviously stores stuff to be excreted. Holding it all together, the skeletal system. I picked this skeleton because most skeletons are just hanging there like they're dead, which of course they probably are. But I thought this skeleton was really cool because it looks like he's moving, looks like he's alive. And the reason I picked this one is to show you how flexible your body is. Even though the bones themselves seem to be pretty rigid and solid, they are made with connections that allow you to have great flexibility. You have about, I mentioned this before, 206 bones. 80 of them are in the axial part. That's in the center part of the body from the head down to about the hips. 80 of the bones are there. And all the rest of the bones are in the appendages. They're called appendicular bones. Now, that's a term you don't need to know. But they're in the appendages. More than 50% of the bones are in your hands and feet. Remember, you got 206. I think there are 106 bones in the hands and feet alone. You can see that's a lot. Now, what ties all this together? You have 360 joints between all these things. You have got cartilage between a lot of the joints to provide for cushioning. You've got 900 ligaments that attach bones to each other, because without the ligaments, your bones would just fall on the ground like a pile of bones. And you have tendons, about 4,000 tendons that attach muscle to the bone, okay? And that's a lot of stuff in your skeletal system. It provides you with shape and posture. It provides you protection. We're talking about the bone structure here. Provides you with protection. It shields your organs, brain, heart, and lungs. It allows you movement. It provides the anchor points for muscles through the tendons to make you move. And it provides blood cell production. Only the axial, the bones that are in the center part of the body, not in the legs or the arms. All the axial ones produce the red blood cells. It also provides a storage of vital minerals, calcium and phosphorus, and allows you to dance. And let's see if this really works. Don't you wish you could do that again? If you could ever do that. You see how flexible the body is? See how flexible that whole system, skeletal system between the bones, the ligaments, and the joints allow those people to do that. It's extraordinary. I love to watch these people swing dance. My 2 oldest grandsons at my granddaughter's wedding did a lot of this swing dancing. They were crazy people. I could not believe they were moving the way they were moving. But I remember back when I was a kid, I used to move pretty well. Not anymore. But the bones allow you to do that. Bones and all the system allow you to do that. Okay, now I can go on to the next one. What's the only part of the body that has no blood supply? I'm going to repeat all these questions at the end in case you missed them. I know somebody's trying to write them down over there. But what's the only part of the body that has no blood supply? And yet it repairs itself. Okay, the amazing 3-pound brain. The brain provides for regulation, threat detection, homeostasis maintenance. In other words, it keeps all your vitals important within range, your body temperature, your hunger, your sleep cycles. It processes all the information from all 5 senses continually. And it regulates your behavior, your eating, drinking, resting, and reward systems. There are 86 million neurons. 86 million. Compared to the trillions we were talking about, that doesn't seem like much, right? Just a mere 86 million neurons. Hundreds of trillions of synapses to all the connection. 60%, your brain is made of 60% fat. So it adds another whole sense of reality and credibility to calling somebody a fathead. If you call somebody a fathead, it will be 60% true, okay? And even though it's only 2% of the body mass, it consumes 20% of the body energy. And this is, we're talking about the brain here. It is still a deep mystery. There are so many things. There are probably more things we don't know about the brain than we do, but it's an amazing 3 pounds. And that if you read that quote underneath the top, it says the brain is the most complicated object in the known universe. That was written by a physicist, a Japanese, an American of Japanese descent physicist. And that same thought is repeated by a lot of different people, a lot of different times. Interesting isolated facts. You have 80,000 miles of blood vessels. 80,000 miles, okay? If you pulled out all your blood system, your capillaries, your arteries, your veins, and you set them end to end, they would circle the Earth at the equator 3 times. Going around the equator 3 times, that's 75,000 miles, and you have some left over. Those are all inside your body when you're sitting here. You have 80,000 miles of blood vessels and arteries in your body. That's crazy. I can't imagine 20,000 miles of anything. I can't imagine 5,000 miles of anything. And you've got all that in your body. And it's functioning perfectly because you're all sitting here absorbing this wonderful talk. Okay, your body glows in the dark, even though your eyes are not sensitive enough to see it. If you get some kind of a device that is sensitive enough, your body actually glows in the dark. You produce enough saliva in your lifetime to fill 2 swimming pools. We talked about the taste buds already, 8,000, but each of the 8,000 taste buds has 100 cells supporting it. Your fingernails grow 4 times faster than your toenails. Now, that's an important piece of information. Your liver is the only organ that completely regrow itself. Can you imagine that? It's a vital organ, very, very important to fighting infection and keeping you alive and providing for metabolism and all kinds of other things. But it's the only organ that regrows itself. Your skin sheds 4 kilograms. I'm going to have to revise that because Google was wrong. It's about 1 to 2 kilograms of itself for every year, about 100 kilos of skin in a lifetime. You have 100 billion nerve endings, 7 trillion fibers, 200,000 nerve endings in your feet alone. There are 45 miles of nerves in the body. Your bones, pound for pound, are 5 times stronger than steel. Interesting facts. Take them with you and pay for your coffee. If the skin is renewed every 2 to 4 weeks, why does it look older? Okay, that's a good question, right? I mean, it says it's renewed every 2 to 4 weeks. Every single skin cell that you have, all 3 layers, are renewed completely every 2 to 4 weeks. Well, then why am I getting older? Maybe I ordered the wrong skin cells. Who knows? But you're going to look it up because that's one of your questions. Okay, there are approximately estimated about 3 million. This is the lifeblood of American commerce, right? This truck and trucks like it. There is estimated 3.3 million trucks in America. At any one time, there are 2.2 million of them on the roads, and most are on the 47,000 miles of interstate highway going from state to state to bring all the stuff. They carry 72% of all the stuff that Americans use every day. It's a pretty important element. Your blood is like that. The blood is our transport. The vessels are the highways. The blood carries living oxygen from the lungs to the cells. It carries nutrients to all the cells. It transports hormones. It removes waste, sending it to the elimination organs. It carries infection, fighting white blood cells. It regulates body temperature. All that life is in the blood. Now, you have got 5 liters of blood. Each liter is broke down. There's plasma about 55% and formed elements about 45%. Of the 55, most of it is water, but there are 3 important proteins that maintain blood pressure so that things go in and out of the cells the way they're supposed to. You have to have the right pressure to do that. The globulins produce antibodies, and the fibrinogens help in blood clotting. In the formed elements, 98% of the 45%, or about 50% of your body, are blood cells. Of your blood are blood cells. White blood cells form about 1%. I could have a question here. If white blood cells are only 1%, how is it they are produced at such a, remember I said they're about half as many, 2 to 3 million per second. The white blood cells are about half as that, so every 1 to 1.5 million per second. If that's true, and they're only 1%, why do they produce so many of them? That could be another question. It's not. Okay, platelets, which white blood cells form about 1%, and platelets, which aid in clotting, are about 1%. How does the blood regulate the body temperature? It's one of your questions. How does blood regulate body temperature? Okay, during sleep, you are not. Sleep is very important for the health of the body. During sleep, you are repairing muscles, tissues, and bones, strengthening the immune system, regulating your energy usage. You're conserving energy, probably. Your metabolic rate decreases. Your brain does a lot of repair during the night. It actually processes information that's obtained during the day. It cleans out waste stuff, just like I need to clean out the drawers of all the paperwork that I've collected over the years that are useless to me. Your body does that every night. And it strengthens your memory paths. Everything rests. Now, your heart doesn't rest by turning itself off. It rests by going slower. That's a tough job. You know, you say to your worker, okay, I want you to take a week off and go rest. You don't say that to the heart. You can't say to the heart, take a week off and go to the maintenance shed and we'll leave you for a couple of weeks, a couple of days, a couple of hours. You can't do that. So the heart rests while it's going slower, as do all the other organs that keep you alive in the body. They're all resting and recovering and recuperating. Uh-oh. Yep, it is. Battery's out. Okay, just give me the next slide. There's only 2 or 3 slides left. Okay, the invisible driver is your spirit. Your body is how we recognize you, but that is not who you are, okay? It is not who you are. Your emotions, your thoughts, your desires, your drives are beyond the scope of this talk, and they are what make you you. The body is only the shell in which they are expressed or carried out, but you'll have to agree it's an amazing shell. Are you persuaded? Are you persuaded that you are wonderfully made? If you're not persuaded, you're a difficult case. Okay, next slide, Brad. Okay, I leave you with this quote. Most modern biologists have viewed with satisfaction the downfall of the spontaneous generation hypothesis. That is, that life spontaneously came out of non-life, just happened. And most of the biologists now don't believe that. Yet, unwilling to accept the alternative belief in special creation, they are left with nothing. I'm hoping today that there are none of you here that are left with nothing. Okay, last slide. Brad, thank you. Questions, be kind. I'm finished. Finished.
Okay, if anybody has a question, just raise your hand and
Remember, no doctor questions.
Brian over
I'm
there.
not a doctor. I'm only a researcher. By the way, I wanted to thank Ren and Liz and the board for letting me do this, because it was as much fun for me to prepare this as I hope it was fun for you to listen to it. And I know I gave you a lot of stuff today, but if you're interested in any particular part that I looked like I glossed over, you can go to the YouTube, which should be up on Friday, and go back to that part that you want to review. Yes, sir.
Roger, that's fantastic talk. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
So my question will probably relate to
Move the micro closer.
Okay, so my question probably relates to one of the 5 questions you had. I think one of the challenge we have as we grow older is we have less acid in our stomach, which produces the rebuilding things that builds our skin. So I think our skin is looking old because the building material is not there.
Anybody else want to try? No. Okay, that's possible, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. But well, thank you for the input. Because don't you remember that there was some kind of a TV show where, good try again, you know, one of those things. So, thank you for the question. Ah, my skeptical friend.
You know, this is really overwhelming for probably at least me anyhow. But thank you for that. I wonder. Well, I guess I don't wonder. Who put this together? Who put my body together? Who did all these hundreds of thousands of miles of this and blood and water? And it had to be God.
Well, I agree, and that's why I started. I'm a Christian, and I believe that the first 2 people were created, and that within them were the capabilities, the genetic capabilities to create everybody else that came afterwards. And I think as a living being, we're probably the most complex thing on the face of the earth. There's not a machine that's been made yet. All the machines that are man-made had to be fixed or replaced. So it's an amazing body, and I thank you for that comment. Hi.
Hi, Roger. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that presentation. It's very, very broad, and it's so much information for a person not to take care of his body. But I just would like to make a point that when you say the digestive system is 4 to 5 days to rejuvenate, the liver will be 3 to 5 months and all those numbers and all, it means it can happen to that if you are doing the right nutrition, the right exercise, the right hydration. Because if you put medicine and all the crap, don't expect that it will change. Because that's why when you said about the skin, that it doesn't, you look older and you don't look better because the feeding is not right. So maybe that is what I would share also to all, that you feed it right, and it will be 3 weeks to 3 months to 6 months to rejuvenate the body, as per my experience. And I always emphasize to people, our body is really the most complex element in our lifetime. Thank you for that presentation.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I agree. If you feed yourself well, and when I say feed yourself well, get a wide variety of diet. It's okay to have a little meat. Lean meat would be better. Vegetables, I start every day with 7 or 8 different kinds of fruit. I find that's wonderful for my regularity. I have a lunch. I try not to eat now after 3 o'clock because I find that I rest better and I feel more comfortable in the evening hours by not eating after 3 o'clock. And I eat good food. I mean, I eat Thai foods with lots of vegetables and chicken and stuff like that. And I think if you do that, drink lots of water, stay away from... Now, remember, your liver is there to do what? It's there to get rid of pathogens. There are a lot of medications that you take that your liver would say, this is a pathogen. I'm going to quit. You keep providing this stuff to me, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. That's why I had to go to the nurse clinician, because the pills that they gave me at Johns Hopkins to fix my condition, I couldn't fly with, and my flight surgeon said, well, it may clear up this fungus or whatever, but it may kill you because it'll take out your liver. Oh, well, give me a break. So the medication is fine for the toes, but it's going to kill me. What kind of medication is that? Okay. Over here.
Over there.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to ask you a question about the bones, where you said that the bones replicate themselves every 10 years. And I don't know whether I've got an answer to my question. What happens to the bones when you die?
You mean, are you asking whether they deteriorate or they get replenished? Well, once you're dead, then the whole genetic plan that keeps your bones recycling is gone. So
Yes.
there's nothing in your body to regenerate that. Now, you do have things that do grow after you die. Your fingernails will grow, and I understand facial hair and ear hairs. Ear hair will grow after you die. But essentially, the driving force of all the replacements are the genetic coding and the hormones that are already pre-built into you. That's what keeps the cycle going at the rate that it's going. It's all pre-planned.
I was asking that because scientists will tell us the age of bones, how old they are by the way in which they've solidified over the years.
Well, that's within reason. I mean, bones will actually deteriorate to the point where they actually become dust as well over a period of years. And I think a lot of those dating methods are manipulated to see that the dates come out with the concept that they want them to. Carbon dating is difficult. Mount St. Helens was a wonderful event for us, because what it did is it covered an area of probably 20 square miles with ash. And everything in that 20 square miles was killed instantly. But it was killed in a different way. It wasn't like a dog died on your front lawn and he disappeared. Once you covered it, there was no oxygen to deteriorate it. So what you created in that 20 square miles was a bunch of fossils. Now, a lot of these fossils were taken to these dating sites. How old is this fossil? Now, remember, this fossil is 20 years old. And you take it to a dating site, carbon dating. And the first thing they ask you is, where did you find it? I'm not telling you, just date it. So they date it, and it's like 3,500, 3,800 years old. And you know it's 20 years old because it came from Mount St. Helens. So I don't trust dating methods necessarily.
Roger, in your research, did you find any information about the regeneration capability of the kidneys being maybe less than other organs?
I put the kidneys in there, that they were replaced. I had a date on it. I don't remember what the date is. It's on the slide somewhere. But yeah, they are completely replaced. There's nothing. The only thing that's not replaced are in the question that I asked you. What things in the body are not replaced? That's your homework. And I'm not going to tell you. I know, and you don't. But seriously, there are some things in the body that are there for life. Okay, they don't get replaced. The kidneys get replaced on a regular basis. Again, I don't remember the number because it was all embedded in the slideshow. But it's pretty regularly. I mean, let's say 6 months to a year. And remember, all these things are being replaced while they're operating their normal procedure. Can you imagine trying to fix an aircraft engine while the aircraft's at 40,000 feet going 500 miles an hour? Tell the mechanic, get out there on the wing. We need to change the oil in that engine. Yeah, right, sure. While it's running, while it's here at 35,000 feet, yeah, with the temperature minus 55, I don't think so. So you got to take the aircraft and you have to put it in the hangar. That's true of every man-made thing. It has to be fixed or replaced. Not true of your body, for the most part.
Yeah, Roger. This is a question. I've heard you get up a couple of times before open forum, and you tell us where the best burger in town is, and also where the cheapest cakes were. So I wonder whether you changed your diet, whether that's been you've changed it lately or not.
I don't really have any cake anymore. I mean, I probably hadn't had a piece of cake, and I did treat myself. I think about a month ago, they have little lemon meringue, not lemon tarts over at Big C Extra. And they are just to die for. And when I say to die for, the lemon has to be lemony. When you put it in your mouth, it goes, whoa, that's lemon. And that tart does that. And I think about a month and a half ago, I treated myself to one. And when I brought it home, I cut it in half. I had half one day and I had half 4 days later. So, yeah, I do know where the cheapest things are. The burger, the only burger I have now is I go to one of the shops, either the stores or Big C or Big C Extra, and I get the fresh burger. It looks like it's ground round, and I cook my own. And I don't put anything on it. Use a bun, maybe a little ketchup. It's to die for. Okay. Any other questions? One in the back.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation. You mentioned lung regeneration. Which kind of regeneration? For instance, does the pulmonary fibrosis, does this include pulmonary fibrosis? That means regenerate the destroyed tissues?
Okay, well, by regeneration, that means if for example, your liver has, let's see, I gotta be careful here because there's 7 trillion cells. Let's say your liver has about 500 million cells in it. All of those cells will be replaced. They will replace themselves. Okay, that's the regeneration process. And it'll do it while the liver is still operating. Okay, so that's what I mean by regeneration. Each cell in every part of the body, except for the blood vessels, the blood cells, every other cell, the 7 trillion cells that have a nucleus, they all replace themselves in a certain period of time. So that's one of the things the cell does. That's the miraculous part of the cell. Not only does it feed itself, maintain itself, and do the job that it's doing in your retina or in your arm or in your bone or in your wherever it is, it's doing its job, but it's also in the process of replacing itself. So at the rate that I put down in the program. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm curious about the iridologist. Yeah.
Good for you.
What kind of equipment did they use to examine your eye? Was it like a special camera or a scope or anything like that?
She used nothing.
Nothing.
That's what blew me away. She just walked over to me. George, come here. She sat me, move a little bit closer, a little closer.
I can come right here.
There. She sat about there, and this is how far she was from my eye.
Oh, wow.
No magnifying glass, no nothing. She was that far from the eye.
Oh, that's interesting.
She said, oh, you're pretty healthy. Oh, yeah, I can see the infection. And then she looked closer, and she said, oh, you broke a bone. I went, okay, I'm not here for that, but that's an interesting comment. What do you mean I broke a bone? She said, when you were a kid, you broke your arm. It looks like your left arm. I thought, how the hell would you know that? She didn't look at my medical record, and it wasn't even in my medical record.
Yeah, I'd like to
and
try
my
that.
Wife didn't know I broke an arm.
I'd like to try if she can make the list. Anyways,
I understand you can go to Mexico and you can get trained in iridology.
I was curious because of the photograph that you had in your slide, and I was thinking, oh, that would be great to have a photograph of my eye like that. That'd be awesome. I'd frame it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and all those squiggles, to think.
They're unique, yeah.
Yeah, to think
right?
that you would be trained enough to be able to watch individual squiggles
Right.
and where they are from the inside to the outside of the iris and be able to make an evaluation on an organ and the condition of the organ and the date of the organ that you're making the concept up. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I study iridology. You go to Mexico and you'll be
If I find
trained.
a way I can get a photograph like that of my own eye, I will do that.
You go to Mexico and come back here, and you could do it for the club. You could look at everybody's eye and tell them how sick we are.
All right.
Or
I'll
how
add it
well
to
we
my
are.
bucket list.
Okay, thank you so much.
Roger, I met a girl down on Walking Street, and she looked me in the eye, and she didn't know me from a hole in the ground. She said, "You got a lot of money." So,
well, if you looked at that chart, right at the 5 o'clock position, that was money right there. Yeah, probably.
well, anyway, thank you very much, Roger, for that informative speech. And we have a little certificate of appreciation.
I've never gotten one of these. Uh-huh.
You got one now.
No, I've gotten one.
1, 2, 3.
Can you make him look shorter?
No, I tried.
Can you make me look taller?
Squat down a little bit, George.
I tried.
I was thinking about having him stand down there and me stand up here so we can level the playing field. I assume somebody needs to.
You know what happens every time I make that presentation, when they show the picture, my head's always cut off.